Agenda for discussion. 2A, approval of the meetings from July 14, 2026. B, approval of the expenditure list for July 28, 2026. C, approval of special event permit to allow the Cortez Area Chamber of Commerce to host a business after hours event on August 13, 2026 from 4 o'clock to 8 p.m. at 20 West Main Street in Cortez. D, approval of the renewal application for a medical marijuana center on-site optional premises cultivation license for Durango Optics LLP DBA DO Cortez located at 1013 East Main Street, Cortez. Does anyone in the public have any objections or want something removed? I'll accept a motion from council.
I move that council approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion made by Lewis, seconded by Randall.
West,
Yes.
Wolf,
Yes.
Randall, Lewis,
Yes.
Roll.
Yes. Moving on to item number 3 is public participations. Individuals may not comment on items that are on the council agenda during the public participation time. There is no limit to the number of speakers, although public comments will be held to an overall time limit of 30 minutes. Speakers have a time limit of 3 minutes per person, may only speak once, and may not cede time to another commenter. We have Ed Rice, if you would come to the podium. If you go up to that tall speaker and make sure the red button's on.
I talked on that one too, but.
And you're going to have to get real close to it because it won't work. Thanks, Ed.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I just came from the fairgrounds from Wayne and Pigs, so if your housekeeping complains about a weird odor from shoes and stuff tomorrow morning, that was probably me. So when is enough enough? From my study, from my looking around the county or town here and stuff, we currently have about 195 affordable housing units, and half of those were built in pretty recent years. 40 more are in the process right now, and another 70 proposed now for the old high school plot. As a landlord myself, I paid about $5,000 in property taxes last year for 3 rental houses. 3. These 195 units paid 0 taxes. I guess that sort of goes to the city's comments regarding the lodging tax. I hate to quote you, Mayor, from the newspaper, but said taxes are always better when someone else pays them. Well, we're the ones paying them, sorry. So going back to when is enough enough, did a little bit of research, and I invite anybody to do this on their own too. The average in the whole U.S. as far as the population living in subsidized housing is 2.7%. Based on our last census for Cortez, that would equate to about 243 needs for people to live in subsidized housing. With an average of 2 occupants per unit, that equates to 122 units that would be needed to satisfy what we need here. We already have 195. We have another 110 basically with 2 different projects proposed. Why are we that far over the national average? And that's my big question tonight for you, and I hope that you can find an answer for it. I hope someone will take a hard look at this as to why it is. And if you just want to create some more property that doesn't create any kind of tax revenue at the old high school, we could really use some softball fields maybe instead. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else in the public who would like to make an announcement? Okay, let's move on to item number 4, presentations. 4A, we have a proclamation sponsored by myself, Mayor Spruill, and co-sponsored by Council Member West and Osborne, and the council. And I will read that proclamation now. Whereas the annual Montezuma County Fair is a cherished tradition that brings together families, friends, neighbors, visitors to celebrate the rich heritage, agriculture, and community spirit of our county. And whereas the Montezuma County Fair showcases the hard work and dedication of our farmers, ranchers, youth exhibitors, artisans, educators, businesses, and volunteers whose contributions strengthen our community, and whereas the fair provides educational opportunities that promote agriculture, livestock, home arts, technology, and lifelong learning while encouraging leadership and responsibility through youth organizations such as 4-H and Future Farmers of America, FFA, And whereas the Montezuma County Fair serves as a gathering place where people of all ages can enjoy wholesome entertainment, exhibits, competitions, and fellowships, creating lasting memories for generations. And whereas the success of the Montezuma County Fair is made possible through the commitment of countless volunteers, sponsors, exhibitors, staff, and community partners whose dedication makes this annual event successful. And whereas the City of Cortez is the county seat for Montezuma County and works closely with and supports the county on various events, including those that have an economic impact on both county and the city. Now, therefore, I, Dennis Burrell, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the City of Cortez City Council as the mayor of City of Cortez, do hereby proclaim this week of July 27th through August 1st as Montezuma County Fair Week, and encourage all residents to attend the fair, celebrate our agricultural heritage, support our local exhibitors and businesses, and enjoy the many activities that make our county fair a source of pride for our entire community.
Mr. Mayor, I move that council approve the Montezuma County Fair Week proclamation as presented.
I second.
Motion by Lewis, seconded by West.
West.
Randall. West.
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
Swope.
Yes.
Wolf.
Yes.
Sproul.
Yes. Moving on to item number 5, public hearings. 5A, ordinance number 1370, series 2026, an ordinance that amends the city code provisions that created the Airport Advisory Committee. The amendments concern Chapter 3, Article 2, Sections 3-15 and 3-19 regarding qualifications of committee members and committee officer terms. Our presenter is going to be Drew Sanders, our city manager.
Yeah, good evening, Mayor and Council. So this ordinance, or the Airport Advisory Committee enabling ordinance, was passed earlier this year by this council. And as we went through and tried to get members for that committee, we ran into a problem with one clause in that ordinance wherein we needed at least 3 of those to be city residents. This ordinance asks you to change one sentence of the original text of that ordinance to read instead that, quote, all committee members must be Montezuma County residents with a preference for residents of the city of Cortez, unquote. And then from that, there will be confirming that there is no limit to the number of successive terms a committee member may serve. Those are the only differences that we're asking you to consider. The original text stands beyond that. So with that, Council, I am open for questions or submit it to you for your consideration.
Does anybody in the public, this is a second reading, have anything that they would like to add or ask, suggest? Move on to council members. Anything from council members?
I just would encourage council members to vote for this because as the city owns this airport, this really is serves as a regional airport, and I think we have some excellent candidates that are outside the city limits, and we shouldn't exclude them. So I would encourage everyone to vote for this second reading.
I move that Cortez City Council approve on second and final reading ordinance number 1370, series 2026, an ordinance that amends the Cortez City Code, Chapter 3, Article 2, Section 3-15 and Section 3-19 concerning the qualification of Airport Advisory Committee members and confirming that there is no limit to the number of successive terms a committee member may serve.
I second.
Motion made by West, seconded by Wolf.
Swope.
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
Wolf. West.
Yes.
Randall.
Yes.
Sproul.
Yes. Moving on to 5B, ordinance number 1372, series 2026, an ordinance on second reading, the 2026 budget, which was adopted pursuant to ordinance number 1351, series 2025. Our presenter is Kyle Sloan, our airport director.
Evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council. The purpose of this ordinance is to amend the 2026 budget to appropriate funds for the South General Aviation Apron Expansion Project at Cortez Municipal Airport. The project will be fully funded through the FAA Airport Improvement Program grants, CDOT Aeronautics matching funds, and the required local match. Adoption of this ordinance authorizes recognition of these revenues and associated expenditures within the airport fund. The first reading of this ordinance took place at the 14th of July 2026 regular stated meeting. This ordinance adjusts the airport fund as previously stated. A little more details on what this does for the airport. So this project is critical to meeting the increased demand at the Cortez Municipal Airport and will support several key operational improvements. First, the project will expand aircraft parking capacity, addressing current constraints as the airport has already experienced periods of near maximum occupancy. Second, it will improve aircraft circulation and reduce congestion within movement areas, enhancing overall operational safety. And third, the expansion will make additional land available for future hangar development, responding to ongoing demand for aircraft storage. Collectively, these improvements will promote the continued growth, efficiency, and safety of airport operations. A review of the fiscal impact. The total project is $1,740,220. Our local match of 2.5% is $43,506, and the rest of the 97.5% is covered by federal and state. Recommendation. Staff recommends that council approve this ordinance on second reading to amend the 2026 budget and appropriate funds in the airport fund for the South General Aviation Apron Expansion Project. And Mr. Mayor, City Council, I yield to any questions you might have.
Sounds like you got off the hook real easy. No questions.
I'm okay with that.
Do we have any questions from the public? Do we have any public comment?
Mr. Mayor, I move that the council approve on second reading ordinance number 1372, Series 2026, as an ordinance authorizing a budget amendment and appropriation for the South General Aviation Airport Expansion Project.
Second.
Motion by Randall, seconded by Lewis.
Wolf. Lewis.
Yes.
Randall.
Yes.
Swope.
Yes.
West.
Yes.
Sproul.
Yes. Number 6, unfinished business. We have none. 7, new business. 7A, a purchase of a new 1-ton dually truck for the city street division. Council will consider approving the purchase of a new 1-ton pickup truck to replace the streets division's aging 2002 1-ton pickup, Unit 992, which has reached the end of its serviceable life and no longer reliably supports daily operations. Our presenter is Casey Simpson, Director of Public Works and General Services.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As the Mayor stated, I'm here to discuss the purchase of a new 1-ton dually, which has reached the end of its reliable service lifespan. It is required to tow some heavy machinery, and so we need a specific vehicle that's capable of doing so. With specific specifications listed, we put out a solicitation to ensure broad market reach. The procurement team confirmed the bid documents were uploaded to BidNet and advertised nationally. 5 bids were received from vendors spanning a wide geographic area, demonstrating a strong competitive bid field. 5 bids were received. Listed below, 1 vendor was disqualified as their bid did not meet the minimum specifications. Specifically, they submitted a bid with a single cab, for a single cab 1-ton instead of a quad cab. Consistent with established procurement best practices, bids that did not meet the minimum specifications were disqualified. All the others were considered. We did have to dive pretty deep into these bids, as each bid had a different list of hardware that was included with each truck. I bring that out because the lowest bid was not selected. However, that lowest bid did not represent the best value to the city, as the bid from Santan Auto Partners at $80,928.41 had more requested hardware included in the bid than, from a market value standpoint, than the lower bids it was competing against. Funding for this purchase is fully available through the equipment fund. The original budgeted amount was $85,000. The recommended bid as received was $80,928.41, which comes under budget, representing a savings to the city of $4,071.59. With that, staff recommends that council approve the purchase of it's actually a 2027 Ford F-350 from Santan Auto Partners in the amount of $80,928.41 to be fully funded through the equipment fund. As its included hardware and specifications represented over $3,000 in additional value over the other bids. Subject to any questions you guys have, that's our request.
Where's Santan at?
Arizona, I believe outside of Phoenix.
Would we truck that back here or go down and pick it up, or would they deliver?
Deliver.
Casey, there's no question a 24-year-old truck, there's a need, and I was surprised by the prices considering what vehicles are going for. Why do we not receive a local bid from our dealers here?
I think I've asked myself the same question. I think there's a complicated answer. And I don't actually know, I haven't spoken to them specifically why they didn't. I do think that in order to get the greatest range in bids, we put the bids on BidNet so that it's out there nationwide. But BidNet is a pay-for-service that a lot of these bigger dealerships subscribe to, and so they see those bids. I'm not sure we also list and have listed the bids in the paper, but I'm not sure that their sales team is geared towards this type of sales. But I haven't inquired, and kind of the rules and best practices around procurement kind of forbid me from coaching them in how to do it. So it's kind of a hard place for me to be like, hey, you should really consider doing this, because that would be showing favoritism to one vendor over another.
Thank you.
Do you believe there's an opportunity for third-party technical assistance for our local suppliers to kind of keep those dollars more regional or in our ecosystem and economy?
Third-party coaching, you mean?
Third-party technical assistance is the term I would use, technical assistance.
Like I think we're getting some rain. Exciting. You mean somebody who would help keep an eye out for local dealers for BidNet type solicitations? Yeah,
what I've seen in other fundraising granting spaces when it is wild, that storm. When there's a lack of knowledge around a tool, and I've used BidNet, it's kind of a beast and like a particular skill set. And I know that Region 9 has a grant writer that maybe could provide that, industry technical assistance support, or just contracting a third party, non-affiliated, nonpartisan entity to support our local businesses in learning how to use this tool and respond to grants or bids.
Yeah, I would say that for vehicles, the solicitation packet's not overly complex like an RFP. I don't think it's prohibitively, I don't think it would be hard for anyone to fill it out. if I owned a private business, I would probably task an administrative assistant or office person with reviewing the local newspaper ads, because that's the cheapest way to detect them. And certainly, if anyone has any questions about filling out the paperwork, they can submit all those questions, and then we include all the answers in an addendum. So there's no, other than the effort it would take to submit questions, there's not a prohibitive knowledge gap in my mind, other than just an awareness piece. Like if it's an unknown, you wouldn't know. That being said, I do know that we have communicated with local dealers, and they know that we were advertising. So I don't think they didn't know. Maybe they didn't have the right truck. It's possible they didn't have a 1-ton. Their inventories are more limited. There's lots of factors that could have made them not want to submit a bid.
Casey, a long story short, I contacted the 3 dealers, major dealers in Cortez on the last time that we had this issue, and they had no idea that we were bidding. And so I queried why didn't they know, and I was told that it was almost unethical to go out and solicit bids from local vendors. Would you agree to that?
Yes, certainly, especially during the solicitation process. If they're made aware prior, like the city will be looking for a truck this year, and they know to keep an eye out for it, that's more acceptable than if somebody were to say, hey, the city, or somebody from the city were to say, we just released our bid, will you put a bid in? If that makes sense.
It's disappointing that our local dealers aren't bidding from a council's point of view, but it's not our bad, and that's what I want to make sure that everybody understands. It's not because of something the council's doing, because we want them to solicit their bids. But
and we list it in the local paper.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
I mean,
If there's no further discussion, I move that City Council approve the purchase of a 2027 F-350 for the Public Works Department, Street Division from Santan Auto Partners LLC in the amount of $80,928.41.
I second.
motion made by Lewis, seconded by Swope.
Wolf? West?
Yes.
Randall?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Swope?
Yes.
Sproul?
Yes.
This rain has really got everybody excited. It's wonderful. 7B, Airport Advisory Committee appointments. Council will consider appointing members to the newly appointed Airport Advisory Committee. Our presenter is Danielle Wells, our city clerk.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Yes, we've had 7 applicants interview for the positions for the Airport Advisory Committee. And as you know, the adjustments for the city limits the adjustment was made from a minimum of 3 city residency requirements was moved back to the county. All 5 can live in the county rather than just the city, with a recommendation and preference for people who live in the city. Of the 7 applicants, David Bostrom and Robert Wright do live in city limits. The other 5 live just outside of city limits in Montezuma County. For this initial appointment process, the committee appointment terms will be 2 members for an initial term of 3 years, 2 members for an initial term of 2 years, and 1 member for an initial term of 1 year. And then all succeeding appointments shall be for 2-year terms. Staff recommends that council appoint 5 of the people that interviewed over the past 2 work sessions to the Airport Advisory Committee.
Thank you, Danielle. I think it'd be a good idea if every one of the council members chimed in one way or another on what their selection would be, so that it's on record on who they believe in. I can go ahead and start, and if you want to just say ditto, that's fine too, but we would like to have comments from every council member if we could. I appreciate every one of the applicants. There were some really, really good ones, and there were all appreciated. And I personally liked Eddie Lewis, Bernard Carwick, Chris Caxelio, Brian Lyons, and Robert Wright. The 2 that I would not accept is not because of their abilities, because I think they're totally have the abilities to do it, but I'm afraid that David Bostrom's job would take him away from being able to attend the meetings, and John Hernandez doesn't have enough qualifications as a pilot, and he serves on one board for the city of Cortez, and so I would like to see the other persons that I mentioned as advisory committee appointees.
I concur with your selections.
I just want to make a few statements about, I think there are three people that are essential to be on this advisory committee, because this is the start of a new advisory committee. And first and foremost, I think Bernard needs to be on there. He sees the big picture. He understands the financial aspect of that airport. He's very well respected in the aviation community. I think he's one that would be a good leader on there. I agree with Mayor Spruill in that Eddie Lewis is someone that needs to be on there, because he has a long history in this community with his father flying, and knows that airport inside and out. And I think Chris is another individual that is really needed. He looks at it from a different side, the flight instructor side, FBO, the needs, and knows all the regulations and requirements. So I would agree with your listing as well, but I think those three individuals that I mentioned are key.
I would say I also agree with those choices as well.
I agree with what's been said so far. I am impressed at the number of candidates we received, and I am impressed with all of the candidates. However, I do believe with what's been said about the talents that these five that have been mentioned hold. I would also mention that perhaps Mr. Lewis and Mr. Carwick would be appropriate for the 3-year terms, and then Mr. Wright, I'm sorry, I don't want to butcher Mr. Caciagali, and Mr. Lewis for the 1-year term. But I'm open to suggestions. Mr. Lewis, maybe? I don't know. Right, it matters not for the 2 and 3 to me. It's just that the 2 and 1 for me. It was the 3-year terms that I'm concerned about, getting Mr. Lewis and Mr. Carwick in those 3-year terms. And then the others, I'm kind of open to anybody else's preference on that.
I agree with Councilmember Randall about the 3-year terms. I think Mr. Carwick and Mr. Lewis were extremely strong candidates. I found Robert Wright to also be a strong candidate, given his business experience and longstanding in the community. Chris, I also don't want to butcher that. He said it so eloquently, and I cannot remember how to say his last name. Chris was a strong candidate. I liked his flight instructor experience. The only place I disagree with Mayor Spruill is I thought David Bostrom was a strong candidate, given that he had a long commercial flying experience and flight instructor experience, and learned to fly here at Cortez, and has watched that change and is an integral part of our community. So my 5 would be Bernard, Chris, Eddie, David, and Robert. And I didn't particularly think that Brian Lyons had strong answers for our questions, or a general. It was my interpretation that he didn't appear to have strong convictions for the council, or the advisory committee, sorry.
So if we have a motion, what I would like to do is have a motion, And if somebody seconds it, that would be fine. And then I want to have some more discussion before it's finalized. Can we do that? Okay.
So I would like to make a motion. I move that City Council appoint the following candidates to the Airport Advisory Committee: Eddie Lewis and Bernard Carwick for 3-year terms, Robert Wright and Chris Caciagli for 2-year terms, and Brian Lyons for a 1-year term.
Second.
Have a motion. Motion by Randall, seconded by Lewis. Now we have a discussion. Is there anyone strictly opposed, or would they like to make a separate motion using different names?
I defer to Councilmember Lewis acting as our representative for that advisory committee.
I'm sorry, what was that? I didn't hear you.
I think I was the only one that spoke out about one of them.
Okay.
So could you repeat your statement, Mayor?
My statement was, does somebody else have a different lineup that they wanted to do?
Thank you.
And I don't see any, so I would like to move that motion forward with the seconding.
I second it.
That was me.
Okay, it was made by Randall and Lewis. Lewis made the motion, Randall seconded.
West.
Yes.
Swope.
Yes.
Wolf.
Yes.
Randall.
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
Sproul.
Yes, and just for clarification, that motion was made by Randall, seconded by Lewis. Did you get all of that? Do you know who we got listed? Okay.
Would you like me to repeat it back to make sure we got it right?
Sure.
Sure. So for the 3-year terms, we have Mr. Lewis and Mr. Carwick. For the 2-year terms, we have Mr. Wright and Mr. Chris. And for the 1-year term, we have Mr. Lyons.
That is exactly what I have. Okay, let's move on to number C, resolution number 13, series 2026. Council will consider resolution number 13, series 2026, a resolution declaring an election and approving an intergovernmental agreement with the Montezuma County Clerk and Recorder for the conduct and administration of the 2026 general election to be held on November 3rd, 2026. Our presenter is Danielle Wells, City Clerk.
Thank you, Mayor. Part of the process for coordinating with the county this fall requires a resolution and an IGA. The intergovernmental agreement between the Montezuma County Clerk and Recorder's Office and the City of Cortez outlines the responsibilities and the deadlines of each entity for this election. According to state statute, entities who wish to place items on the November ballot must coordinate with the county clerk. And state statute further requires the city to provide the county clerk a certified copy of a resolution authorizing the city's participation, along with authorizing an execution of an IGA. Resolution number 13 would approve the IGA. It would formally declare and call the coordinated election on November 3rd, 2026, and would designate myself, Danielle Wells, the city clerk, as the city's designated election official. The resolution also directs that the DEO would coordinate with the county on all the deadlines and other responsibilities set out in the IGA. The actual ballot content is not being discussed tonight on this resolution. That will come with a different ordinance. Estimates for the actual cost are not available right now, but previous elections that were coordinated with the county cost between $10,000 and $15,000. Staff recommends that council adopt resolution number 13, series 2026. Does council have any questions?
I'll entertain a motion.
I move that council approve resolution number 13, series 2026, resolution calling for coordinated election and approving an intergovernmental agreement with the Montezuma County Clerk and Recorder in substantially the same form as the agreement attached to the resolution. Authorize the city manager or mayor to make any necessary minor edits to the agreement as may be required by the clerk and recorder, and authorize the mayor to sign the agreement.
I second.
Motion by Swope, seconded by Wolf.
Lewis,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Swope,
Yes.
Randall,
Yes.
Sproul.
Yes. Moving on to item number D, ordinance number 1375, series 2026, ordinance number 1375, series 2026, an ordinance of the City of Cortez setting the ballot title and content for voter authorization for a 4% increase in the rate of the city's lodger's tax and submitting the ballot question at the general election to be held November 3rd, 2026. Presenter is Drew Sanders, City Manager.
Yes, Mayor and Council, and I'd just like to illustrate the progression that you're experiencing, or the community is experiencing with this. We just passed the resolution that indicates we can enter into an IGA with the county to hold that election. Now we need to move into actually authorizing the actual ballot language, and that's what this is the first reading of the ordinance to set that. I just want to give a little bit of background. Keep in mind this is first reading, so I'll just keep this high level with a lot more in-depth at the second reading. But the lodger's tax has been in place since November 1991. And in our case, the lodger's tax can be used to advertise the community, improve services, finance new facilities, attract conferences, and beautification of the city. Over a 3-year average, we're collecting approximately $250,000 per year, and a majority of that has been used to contract with Mesa Verde Country to provide tourism development services, and then a smaller amount for the city beautification grant, or business beautification grant. Council is proposing to move our current 2% to a 6% rate. Now, keep in mind for council and the community, the lodger's tax is specific to short-term rentals, essentially hotels, motels, and things like VRBO or Airbnb. That's it. This is not a property tax or anything of the sort. This is solely on people who come here and use lodging services. I want to illustrate one thing, and Mayor and Council, I would like to reserve reading the actual ballot language until the second reading, where I think that's a little more appropriate, if you agree. But I would like to point out one item on there, and we do have to, as part of a Tabor election ballot question, we have to put in an amount that we propose to collect. Now, keep in mind, I gave you the figure of the 3-year average is about $250,000. If we triple that to using that 6% figure, that comes to $750,000. I invite your attention to the actual ballot question that is in the packet that says $900,000. The reason for that is, under Tabor, we can collect up to that. We are under no illusion that we will actually collect that amount in the first year, but what we don't want to do is somehow blow past that, and then we're having to refund that at some point, and the difficulties that are involved there. So it is high. That is on purpose, so that we have a cushion that we will presumably not blow through and cause a Tabor conflict. With that, I'm certainly open to questions and submit that to you for on.
Council have any questions?
Mayor, I don't have any questions, but I do have a comment before this comes to motion. Would this be the appropriate time? Okay. So I would ask the council members and the public to hear me out on this. This is, it is in a bit of a contradiction to what was discussed and tentatively agreed upon by the council at the last meeting when this first came up, but I do feel the obligation to put this out. So during our work session, we just heard a brief summary of the SGM 2026 Water System Master Plan, which is in the process of being evaluated by the city and by the council at this point in time. But what I have read that master plan, and it does show that there's a significant infrastructure neglect that has happened for many years here. We haven't had the funding or the resources to keep up with a multitude of our infrastructures. But that report, master plan, specifically deals with the water situation. And that's particularly concerning to me because water is life here in the Southwest. And I believe as a council, we have a responsibility to meet the challenges that come before us, even though we didn't have any part in them coming or being developed or their process of being developed. I think that we need to have a dedicated commitment of funding to rejuvenate toward a reliable and secure water system. This report by SGM, which we're going to delve into in the future, but is pretty specific about prioritizing an implementation strategy for capital improvement projects in our water system. This prioritization system that they came up with dealt with risk and infrastructure condition as it is now, operational reliability, regulatory requirements, and the first portion of it extends through 2037, but it goes farther than that. So 2037 puts us at about 10 years from now. The first 4 years of the projects that they have implemented or that have highest priority for us require funding that is 2 times greater than the city has allotted in the last few years for water projects. So that's just 2 times in the next 4 years. So we've got to double it. And then after that 4th year, in the 5th year, in 2031, their recommendations for our infrastructure of the water are 3 times what we currently have budgeted. In 2033, it's 6 times. And in 2034, it is 10 times what we currently have budgeted. This is a significant amount of money. It's staggering when you look at it. And we'll be looking into it further. But it's going to require some really proactive and creative financial planning on the city's part. And I'm glad to hear that we're working towards that in the form of looking at possible loans and bonds and grants from state and federal sources and the like. And that's wonderful, and we're going to be moving forward with that. There's also the possibility of partnerships with Ute Mountain Tribe and Montezuma County Water District possibly. But the thing that we came before us 2 years ago was the SEH study that was in August of 2023. And the SEH water rate study at that point looked at raising water rates within the city to help support these projects. And it gave us 2 scenarios. It gave us a scenario of raising water at one rate, which would give us $2.2 million a year for capital improvement projects for 10 years within the city. And then the second scenario was for $3.8 million a year in addition to capital improvements projects for 10 years. So those are all 3 of those funding sources, the SEH recommendation for water rate adjustments, the external funding, and the partnerships, those are all things that are going to be coming or possibilities for us in the future. But the future is next year. And all of these options require additional funding by the city for our water. And there's nothing more important than our water. So I'd like to present some ideas during this discussion point that are contrary, some of them are contrary to what we believe the lodger's tax should do. But I believe it's time we need to look outside of our box, and we need to make a commitment as council members. So,
if I can cut you off right there, this is just the first reading. So we're going to go on and we're going to discuss it in length at second reading.
Right.
So all we're doing now is deciding whether or not we want to discuss it at a later moment.
I understand.
And I understand what you're going for. I know what and I think it's something that really needs to be brought up. But now is all we're trying to discuss or trying to make a motion is, do we go further or do we stop it right here?
The reading Mr. Mayor, the reading as it stands has really specific things in the reading. I mean, there's really specific things in this ordinance as it's written now. And in order to, before we go forward with the ordinance as it is written now, I believe that I should be afforded the opportunity to speak a little bit longer.
We're not deciding whether the way it's written this time. We're doing it on second reading. This is just first reading.
Am I going to be allowed to speak for another 5 minutes?
Sure, we'll give you 5 more minutes.
Thank you, sir. So House Bill 25-1247 in Colorado has a broad language for the use of lodgers taxes. Public infrastructure maintenance and capital improvements are included in that. In 2 Colorado counties right now who have recently implemented lodgers taxes, 90% of that tax is scheduled to go towards those counties' infrastructure, with 10% going towards tourism. I am proposing that we modify our proposed ordinance, number 1375, to have 50% of the lodgers tax revenue go towards water infrastructure and 50% go for the uses that are outlined in the proposed ordinance number 1375. Our hotels, which support our tourism business, are high demand users in our water system. They have people use longer showers, they have pools, laundry services, and they require a dependable and functional safe water system. In review of Cortez's water sale records in the last years, 24% of our water use sales have gone towards commercial users. Now that's all commercial users, but hotels are in there. I also propose that a lodgers tax advisory committee, which is consistent of council members, community members, tourism industry representatives, and staff, be appointed if the lodgers tax gets passed, to review and recommend projects and allocation of that 50% of the revenue that would be dedicated to the uses in ordinance number 1375. Now, if we don't include 50% of funds of lodgers tax being dedicated to water infrastructure, it's a squandered opportunity for us. It also, in my opinion, represents malfeasance of our powers. If I had a patient who had a blocked coronary artery and was having a heart attack because he didn't have sufficient flow of blood, he needs a cardiac catheterization or a CABG. And for me to recommend a facelift or a tummy tuck or something cosmetic is not appropriate. The second thing that needs to be considered is that public participation we have to have public buy-in on this. Public support is critical for this passing. If we ignore an axiom that we've heard over and over again in here, which is undisciplined pursuit of more, we are not going to be getting the support of the people that we need. This is a tax that is levied on other people, but our citizens who have to vote on this have to have a say in the representation of how that money is spent. They have to have guidance. They have to be able to give guidance. They don't want to be able to give anyone a blank check. If our uses are vague, and what's included in the wording of this includes walkability, landscaping, investing in arts, these could be perceived by the public as being unstructured spending. If we dedicate 50% to our critical water infrastructure, we would be demonstrating strong commitment to continued secure water delivery to both our residents and our visitors. And that would be irregardless of whose money we're using. I just think we need to take a very serious and significant look at this.
Thank you. The unfortunate thing is you're going to have to repeat everything you just said. Okay. Any more council members?
You know I love a debate. I'm so sorry. I agree with everything Councilmember Randall said. and looking at the dollars that we have in front of us, considering the amounts that lodger's tax could possibly bring in, we're talking about an additional $250,000. And when we look at a $6 million to $14 million figure, I think that 250 could go a little bit farther. You wouldn't put a Band-Aid on a bleeding wound, right? And if your patient needed a liter of blood, you wouldn't give them 2 milliliters. I think that the amount of money is also a critical aspect of this. It can buy a lot of nice sidewalks, but it's probably not gonna replace our failing water systems. And I think we'll have to look at some bigger, more long-term, comprehensive strategies. Regardless if we put everything in our pocketbook behind water or not, we're still gonna be at square one, whether we use the entirety of the lodger's tax or none of it, is kind of my looking at the back of the napkin math on it. I appreciate that stance, and
I appreciate your comments, but if I were to counter, I would say it's not 250, it's $375,000 would be the portion if we're functioning out at the 6% of the current money that we're getting. And it's not so much that we're going to put a Band-Aid on it. We're demonstrating our responsibility both to possible lenders, grant providers, and to our community. And we're not just saying, give us a blank check to do this. That's my point on that. Thank you, though, for your input. I appreciate it.
respectfully, I still think it's better fiscal management to put towards the completion of a project rather than everything behind one thing that still needs more. You know, we can show that we're doing something and have some completed things. But
I love the debate. It's wonderful. However, in front of us is whether it goes to second reading or not. And that's when we have our debate. That's when we talk about it. Is there a motion for it to go to to debate for further action?
Well, I would say, you know, again, this is first reading, and I would hope we have some community input on that so we can make a more defined decision. But if there's no more discussion, Mr. Mayor, I move that City Council approve on first reading Ordinance 1375, Series 2026, an ordinance of the City of Cortez setting the ballot title and content for voter authorization for a 4% increase in the rate of the lodger's tax, submitting the ballot issue at the general election to be held on November 3rd, 2026, setting forth details in relation thereto, and set for a public hearing and second reading on August 11th, 2026.
I second.
Motion made by Lewis, seconded by Wolf.
West,
yes.
Wolf, Randall,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Swope,
Yes.
Sproul.
Yes. So just so the audience knows and the members or the city knows, this discussion we're going to have at our next council meeting is going to be second reading. It will be open to public, and the public can make their comments. And it's pretty good that we had this debate up here or the discussion, because maybe it will bring our community in to give their point of view. So let's move on to E, adoption of policy for agendizing city council proclamations. We already did that, didn't we? No, we didn't. Right. It's a proposed city policy for agendizing future city council proclamations. Our presenter is Drew Sanders.
Yes, Mayor and Council, this was indeed presented to you last council meeting, wherein you were requested review and comment and help me come up with a final version of. So based upon that, it is essentially the same as was presented to you previously, with one difference that was suggested, and it is in the prohibition section, second bullet point. And I don't have the previous language, but I can read to you what the current language is, which, to be quite honest, is actually much stronger than originally presented to you. The current language says, statements that endorse or promote partisan political campaigns, parties, or affiliated organizations would be prohibited. Other than that, it is the essentially what was provided to you before in a 2-page document.
Council, have any questions? Motions?
I move that the Cortez City Council approve the proposed policy entitled Guidelines and Requirements for Council Presentations that the council directed immediately.
I second.
Motion made by Swope, seconded by Wolf.
Lewis,
Yes.
Swope,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Wolf,
Yes.
Randall,
Yes.
Sproul.
Yes. Draft resolutions, we have none. 9, City Attorney's Report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just one item to report on. If you'll recall, the city is involved in a lawsuit concerning a closed road on North Adams Street. And we have, the plaintiff has filed a motion to dismiss the case, and we're waiting on the court's order of dismissal. They cited some health issues involving the plaintiff. It's an LLC, but the main member is a gentleman that had indicated he had some health issues and did not want to proceed with the lawsuit. So they will be, I assume the court will dismiss it. It will be without prejudice, meaning that in the future, this plaintiff or a future owner of the property could pursue the litigation again. But at this point, the lawsuit appears like it should be dismissed as soon as the judge enters the order. And that's all I have.
Thank you. City Manager's Report.
Yes, Mayor and Council, I have a few items for you briefly. Just wanted to let the council know that I attended the annual Vectra Bank Business Roundtable this afternoon with Mayor Sproul and Finance Director Randy Bailey, where we met with other community leaders, including Joe Thine and Ellen Black, the county treasurer, Joe Thine from Southwest Health System. Engaged in a pretty robust conversation about our community and the challenges we collectively face. And, you know, I always like going to these because it reminds me of just how lucky we are to have some of the leadership with some of our partners here in Montezuma County. Also, I'd like to thank our Public Works and Parks and Recreation crews for their diligent efforts to clean up Cortez after the monsoon storms we had on July 21st that resulted in many downed branches, multiple downed trees, and flooding. The city itself, luckily, did not have a lot of actual property damage, although community members, especially up towards Brandon Gate, did have some significant damage. Next, the city's staff working on the lodger's tax is busily scheduling public outreach sessions to provide information about the lodger's tax upon the final passage of that ballot question. And then lastly, the annual summer send-off, or formerly known as the Balloon Rendezvous, will take place this weekend, August 7 through 9, 2026 in Parque de Vida. This year's event will include a drone show on Friday night honoring the Cortez 140, Colorado 150, and USA 250 anniversaries. And just a little bit of kudos out to Aislinn Hager, who is our events coordinator. She is the one who scored that drone show from the state. So good for her, and this should be quite an event. So with that, Mayor and Council, pending any questions, that concludes my report.
City Council Committee reports? None? 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 No reports. Okay, Mayor's report on the workshop. We interviewed applicants for Airport Advisory Board, and we had a discussion and a work session and a presentation about our water system master plan. And that was it. We have no other board reports. Public participation. Individuals may not comment on items that are on the council agenda during the public participation time. There is no limit to the number of speakers and overall time limit. Speakers have a time limit of 3 minutes per person, may only speak once, and may not cede time to another commenter. Please, does anybody in the audience make any comments? Okay, other items of business. 13A, executive session to discuss negotiations concerning the operations agreement with the fixed-based operator at the Cortez Airport and to conduct City Attorney Patrick Coleman's performance evaluation.
I move that council go into executive session for the following purposes. Pursuant to CRS Section 24-6-4024Fi to discuss a personal matter and specifically for the purpose of conducting a performance review of Patrick Coleman, Cortez City Attorney, and pursuant to CRS Section 24-6-4024E to determine positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations, developing strategy for negotiations and or instructing negotiators, and specifically concerning the airport fixed base operator lease and operations agreement.
Second.
Motion made by Lewis, seconded by Randall.
Wolf?
Yes.
Randall?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Swope?
Yes.
Osborne? Oh, sorry. West?
Yes.
And Sproul?
Yes. We'll be moving into executive.
can. Where's my pen?
I think it is like a 20-degree difference.
It's cold, yeah.
It's nice. It's nice.
It is still July 28, 2026, and the time is 9:51 p.m. The executive session has concluded and the council has reconvened into open session. Those persons who participated in the executive session were myself, Mayor Dennis Pearl, Mayor Pro Tem Bill Lewis, council members April Rondo, Kathleen Swope, Carly Wolf, and Claire West, City Attorney Patrick Coleman, and City Manager Drew Sanders were present for part one of the executive session, and Patrick Coleman was present for portions of part two of the executive session. No adoption of any proposed policy, position, resolution, rule, regulation, or formal action occurred during the executive session. If any member of council or a member of the public believes that the subject matter of the executive session was not statutorily authorized, or that the discussions that occurred in executive session strayed from the announced subject matters, please pick up now. Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I move to adjourn.
I
Second.
second it.
Motion made by Lewis, seconded by Wolf.
West,
Yes.
Swope,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Randall,
Yes.
Wolf,
Yes.
Sproul.
Yes. Adjourn.